right click here and I'm going to build MTA. So it's going to create a compressed folder which is going to contain all the application information. So it's going to take a few seconds and we will have a new folder, MTA archive, and here we have. And also if I open my application, then there's a dist folder created, and the dist folder has all the application bundled together, and I'm also seeing a manifest bundle zip. And if I see the folder here, there's a resource folder as well, which now contains a demo HTML24 content.zip. This is basically the application itself. This is the path. So if I see the mta.yaml file, you can see here target path is resource and the artifact is demo HTML24.zip. So this is going to be put in the repo, the static content. So what happens inside, we are going to again come back to the mta.yaml file, and in the coming section when we are going to work with workflow, we are going to create few custom changes as well, and there we are going to look into these concepts because these are mostly application development concept, and I'm going to cover it over time when we are more familiar with what we are trying to do here. Okay, so what now? The next step is right click here to the mtar file and we can deploy MTA archive. Now one important thing is, if I am not logged into my Cloud Foundry, for example, if I go to the terminal and I say okay, cf log out, then it's going to log out. Okay, so now if I try to right click here to the mtar file and deploy, then because we are logged out, sometime it is going to give you an error that it is not able to push to the Cloud Foundry because the pipe is broken. So that is the kind of technical message which you might see if you go inside the message or inside the main message, but it is better to log in to the Cloud Foundry. And sometime also it will give you suggestion, or it will basically start this logging process, and automatically it will take all the details of where you can deploy your application. So there is kind of authentication issue because password is wrong. Let me try to log in again. Now let me try to right click and deploy, and it starts the login process, and password, and this is the account and dev space, and yes, so it started the process of deploying, and it's going to take few seconds because all the MTA file content, for example, you can see here a lot of resources are put, and all these resources are going to be created as a service. So if you go here in your services and service instance, so currently you are seeing, or you will see a lot of service getting created based on your MTA file. So for our case here, you can see that we were inactive, so it logged us out. Now we can come back here to the service instance after it has logged me in, and now a lot of new service of HTML5 repo are getting created, and the binding is also taking place, and this service binding automatically are taken based on our YAML or descriptor file. So you can see the process here, and you can see that okay, demo HTML repo service is created, and there is this demo HTML5 runtime. This is particular service which is also binded to the Approuter. So a lot of service creation and binding which we have done in the MTA file or the MTA YAML descriptor file, all that actions we can see the log information here, and if you are getting some kind of error or there's something wrong, then it is the best place to see all those errors as well. Now you can see here there's a message that application is application demo 01 Approuter started, and this is the location where it is available. So I'm going to go here, this URL, and let me put it here, and it is automatically going to navigate us to the welcome file, and we are going to see a hello world, I guess. Yes, we are going to see a hello world. Yeah, so this automatically is appended because we added in the welcome file routes in our app router, and that is basically the namespace of our application. Okay, so this was a basic blank application or a hello world application. I do not want to go into details of MTA YAML file because these are something which is kind of advanced concept, which we will see some of those parts over time or over the coming sections. In this particular section, our idea was to get a familiarity with the SAP Business Application Studio. Okay, so just to give you what is the content of the terminal here, these are the tasks which was created, and if you want to see further logs also, you can copy this particular command here. And sometimes what happens, you are pushing an application and it fails, then you need to abort also that process to deploy the second application. So also the log messages are important here. So that is the reason why I'm showing you these things. So the logs are important, and it is also the way for you to understand what is the progress of the application. Now, if you want to see the logs here, then you can use this command, and I have already copied this command. I can just run it here and logs will be basically downloaded, and this is the path. Okay, so I can just kind of open it with cat, and let me see what is the folder here. This is the log, so I can just kind of cat. This is basically a directory, so I can just kind of go into the directory and see what kind of log we have. Okay, so we have different log, the log of the Approuter here, and these are the logs. So the logs are necessary when you want to track certain issue or something is not happening, then you can track that. So nowadays everything is properly running. Now the initial time log is something which is very important, because that is the time when the application router was getting started, and this is quite big. You can see here it's quite large log files. Okay, so I can also basically check that. Let me also see here, this is the log. So here we have the logs in the right hand side in the Explorer, and I can open it, and here in the editor it will get open, and this is quite small. This is the HTML repo host log. So successfully uploaded, that is the final message. And here the application router log, this is quite big, and this is the operational log. So log is quite important when you find some error or you're having some error, and also understanding what actually goes on inside. And now the final thing is to see this logs from this application itself, from the Cloud Foundry. So I can go into my trial instance, which I'm already in. What I'm searching for is my space here, Cloud Foundry in space, and I will have a dev space, and inside that dev space I can see my application here. I can click on this application, and going inside this application I see more information that okay, I have one running instance, and build pack is Node.js, and information about memory or resource allocation here, and you can also change those if you want. And now here these are the logs, and the left hand side, and here I can see the detailed logs. Okay, I can click on this goggles icon and get the information. And sometimes you have a lot of logs, so you can keep track from the time here. So the time is 1:40, and if I try to refresh it again, and my time is 1:41. So let me see, if I try to refresh here, then it's going to basically also refresh or get me the new logs if there are any for the 1:41 AM. So that is the time, and here 1:41 AM. So these are the recent logs. So you can keep track based on the time, because there will be a lot of logs. So based on the time you can basically differentiate. These are important stuff when you are trying to debug or you face certain errors and you're trying to resolve those. Okay, so this was the end of the section. What we learned is we got a basic idea about SAP Business Application Studio. We started the instance, and also we started the instance or the Cloud Platform service. We entered into the dev space, and we created a simple UI5 project. We got a familiarity of where things are, how to create a new, how to open a folder, how to work with terminal, what is the internal operating system inside the terminal, also how to create a simple UI5 blank application and push it to the Cloud Foundry and check the logs. Now, one more important details which I would also like to add is, if I go into BAS and you are in a trial account, then here you can create at max 2 dev space. This is for the trial account, free account I'm talking about. You can create at max 2 dev space, and at a time only 1 will be running state. So if you are in a paid version, then the situation will be different, but this is the trial account, and this is the ID which is given to this particular business application studio. I can just put it, remove this index.html and add it hash and the ID, and it will open my business application studio as well. So that is the basically relationship between the ID and this particular link to open your container of your business application studio. Okay, I hope that you got a better idea what we are working with now, and you are comfortable now to go for the next section where we are going to deal with the destinations and multiple other things like system connections and migrating projects from Web IDE to your business application studio, and also debugging and Git. So let's catch up in the next sections, learn more about SAP Business Application Studio.